SydneyMGTOW, aka Scott aka SydneyMGTOW, one and the same. So I'm sure all of you at one point have been asked by a woman or even a guy or someone, what is MGTOW? And then you start getting into it, and then you get off track, and shit gets difficult to explain, and it just gets kind of all messy, and people start assuming that you're just attacking women, right? And you're just trying to give them the whole picture, but there's so much to it that it's almost impossible to explain and get it all out rationally and articulately before they get emotional and they go off on a tangent and they start to just basically ignore the argument that you have, right? So I had a little bit of a rant the other day. Not so much a rant, but just a sort of long-winded, articulate description of MGTOW on my Facebook page. And it's something that I think women would get a lot of value out of listening to. Obviously not everybody's on my personal Facebook page, so I wanted to share it with you here today. And I have my little tablet here. I'm going to read this out to you, and hopefully this makes things a little clearer for anyone that hasn't seen it before. If you know somebody who needs MGTOW explained to them, please share this video with them. If you like this video, at the end, hit subscribe, smash that like button, hit the bell next to the subscription button. And I've got I'm going to be putting my donation links in the Patreon channel down below, because I'd like to eventually go full-time providing content for you guys. Alright, here we go. Let me explain MGTOW to all of you. Men have no interest in treating women like shit. We literally just want 100% fairness and recognize that the system in which we live is grossly unfair, gynocentric, and biased, so we choose to protect ourselves within the framework of that system by avoiding any interaction or scenario in which we are legally vulnerable, socially vulnerable, or otherwise vulnerable at the hands of a dishonest, vindictive, or unethical person. We just want to be able to live our lives freely without being slaves to the sex which is dangled in front of us like a carrot, so that a large portion of the female population can get our money, resources, time, and sperm for reproduction purposes. Hear me out, ladies. How would you feel if 80 to 90% of men were only really vying for the top 10 to 20% of women and constantly looking to upgrade? And those top 20% who get the hottest guys were specifically targeted for their good looks, wealth, job, assets, and ability to provide luxuries, not their brains? How would you then feel if 70% of marriages, not that, how would you then feel if 70% of divorces were initiated by men, and the vast majority of child custody and assets in divorce were granted to men? How would you feel if men routinely were advised and even encouraged by lawyers, legal counsel, and social workers to say that he didn't feel safe or that you were abusive, and as a result, you could potentially lose your job, reputation, respect of most of your friends, and sometimes and often family, and he would get the kids with you having minimal supervised access or perhaps no access at all? How would you feel if it cost you between $50,000 to $300,000 in legal fees, even after you lose everything you own, just for the court to maybe permit you to see your own children? How would you feel if even after all that, the father turned your children against you and made them not want to see you, and routinely denied you court-ordered access and faced zero penalties for doing so? How would that make you feel? How would you feel if the government paid for his lawyer to assist him in keeping your own kids from you? How would you feel if, as a result of the father keeping you from your children, you had to pay so much more child support that you end up practically living on the poverty line, if not below it, with no chance to financially recover from being decimated through the divorce that you didn't choose to begin with, let alone continue the legal battle to still maybe see your own children? And if you then increased your earnings by working harder and longer hours to try and get ahead or live slightly more comfortably, you were penalized by having almost all, if not more, than the extra money you earned awarded to the father. How would you then feel, ladies, if men said that all of this was your fault as a straight, white female because we live in a matriarchy and you created this for yourselves? How would you feel? And without those men accepting even one iota of responsibility for their own personal actions and choices that have a devastating impact on you and your happiness and your future prospects. How would you feel if men were given priority access to jobs over you and held to lesser entry standards in the name of diversity? How would you feel if your own government completely ignored your struggle and gave special privileges and protections and benefits to those who already have a metaphorical knife to your throat or a metaphorical gun to your head? How would you feel if that same government appointed a minister for men and told women that they don't need a minister because they're already too privileged? How would you feel if that same government provided tens of millions of your tax dollars in funding to private and government organizations like White Ribbon and Our Watch? Fuck you, White Ribbon and Our Watch, just FYI, by the way, that line the pockets of men who hate women and want to see them completely dominated by male-centric laws, and use the rest of the money to flood the consciousness of everyone in the country with the perception that all women are born violent rapists and sexual abusers. How would you feel then hearing men bleating about toxic femininity after all that? Toxic femininity and female entitlement and male oppression, when you know it's a blatant fucking lie. How would you feel being told that you not expressing your feelings is the root of your violent behavior when you're not even violent? And that you're a whiny, unattractive bitch when you express your feelings, and that you should check your privilege and recognize your entitlement? Guess what? This is the gender reverse scenario of what is happening to men. So don't be surprised that men no longer want legally recognized cohabitation, marriage, or kids with women who identify as feminists or believe in the wage gap, patriarchy, all men being inherently abusive, or that there is a glass ceiling. There is a pay gap. Yes, there is. But it's not as a result of sexism or misogyny. Those two things are not the same, just FYI. Pick up a dictionary, put your Facebook down, and fucking read it, okay? There's a difference. And I really want you to understand that difference and stop listening to the shit that you keep hearing on social media. Now, this pay gap is actually as a result of women typically choosing of their own free will career paths and industries that have lesser remuneration and more lifestyle flexibility than other fields that men tend to gravitate towards. Now, these fields that men tend to gravitate towards generally are fields, if you work in them, they would generate more income for the company you work for, and therefore your remuneration is more. You cannot be expected to get paid more for something that you do that generates less income than a man does in, say, a civil engineering field compared to maybe aged care. You can't expect that. It's totally unreasonable. It's basic economics. So you know what? If you think that you're hard done by, get the fuck over it. Get a civil engineering degree, get a petroleum engineering degree, go work in an oil rig, go do something like that. Oh, that's right. Don't want to get the hands dirty. Want to go home at 5:30. Don't want to work the weekends. Don't want to be at call at 10:30 on a Thursday night. There's your pay gap right there. This is why men are going their own way, going MGTOW, and finding their own happiness, peace, and equilibrium within themselves without the need for a woman or a female's validation. To all my female friends and family that understand this, I do love you and adore you and thank you for being wonderful, compassionate, and kind human beings. Fuck feminism, go MGTOW. Now, if you're loving this, share it, hit the like button, leave comments below. Let's get this shit trending on YouTube. I want everyone to hear this message. I want everyone to be able to share this with people who just don't understand MGTOW and can't seem to grasp it in their heads, all right? It's not a hard concept to understand when you know everything, and I think that, look, what I articulated in this video is not everything, but it's a lot of what goes on. So let's get it out there. Like this, share it, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell button below to get all my notifications. Get the word out, guys. Much love. If you want to email me, if this resonates with you, if you want to get in touch for whatever reason, email me, SydneyMGTOW@gmail.com. Be happy to reply to you and look forward to making more videos for you guys. Peace.